we're going to actually do our first ranking right now. So does do any of you have a proposition for an official ranking for From Russia with Love?
I'm going to say From Russia with Love, number 1.
Number 1. I'm going to second that myself. And I'm going to go ahead and assume that everybody agrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Officially, we have a new number 1, so that's something to celebrate for sure.
By unanimous consensus.
Yeah. Just by default, From Russia with Love is superior to Dr. No, just in terms of scope. I think overall, that's the way it had to be. It's almost like Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, where the first one, you got to give it up to Dr. No for how it set the stage. It set the standard so well, but that standard still didn't have a budget behind it. Like we talked about, they did Dr. No because it was a simple story with just a couple of settings, and it's really not complicated. And what the bad guy's trying to do is not complicated at all. And in fact, what the bad guy's doing is so in the background of the movie, it's literally just something that you see on some TV screens, and who cares? I mean, at that point, you care more about him saving Honey Rider than the rockets, because the rockets just kind of seem like inconsequential. You know, it's not like there's any astronauts on there that you know anything
like
about or care
there's not
about.
really any stakes to Dr. No on the same scale as from what you're getting with From Russia with Love.
Whereas with this, the entire plot is what the bad guy's trying to do. From beginning to end, again, Dr. No, it's just the ending where it's like, oh, they're toppling these rockets. And Bond's aware throughout the plot that they're toppling rockets, but nobody cares about that. We care about solving this murder mystery. But in From Russia with Love, from beginning to end, it's about the Lektor. What's interesting is that right away there's that chess master is saying, we're going to get revenge on Bond, and we're going to get the Lektor, and we're going to stir up trouble between the East and West. It's a direct sequel to everything that Dr. No laid out at that dinner table.
East, west, just points of the compass, each as stupid as the other.
Naturally, neither the Russians nor the British will be aware that they are now working for us.
Dr. No tried to recruit Bond. Again, he didn't kill Bond because he thought this guy's pretty smart. Spectre could use him.
I was curious to see what kind of a man you were. I thought there might even be a place for you with Spectre.
It's almost like Bond then confirmed that he's too much of a cowboy and a patriot to turn, so they use him to get what they need and kill him. It's absolutely brilliant.
As an added refinement, I think that Spectre will probably have the chance of a personal revenge for the killing of our operative, Dr. No, because the man the British will almost certainly use on a mission of this sort would be their agent, James Bond.
The objective of Spectre in Dr. No is literally just like, we want to show people we're a force to be reckoned with. From Russia with Love, there's so much more going on with what they're trying to accomplish. It's a multifaceted approach, like you mentioned, and it's just a lot more compelling to have this organization that kind of shows a new level of ruthlessness and intelligence.
This one's played a lot more serious, and there's a lot of scenes that I'm like, this feels like it could be like a real spy drama. Think about the scene where he's sitting there, they're on the boat, and he's talking to her, and he's like, tell me about the Lektor, and give me all the details, and talk to this microphone. It just feels like a very real life type of spy film.
It's so early on in the history that it hasn't had time to become gimmicky or over the top or campy and self-referential and self-aware and goofy and all that. I will say, though, my little addendum to that scene is by far the funniest moment in the movie when they cut back to MI6 and everybody's listening.
Yeah.
And it's all men except for Moneypenny. When she says, oh, James, will you make love to me in London?
Oh, James, will you make love to me all the time in England?
Day and night. Go on about the mechanism.
Yes, day and night. Now tell me about the Lektor. One thing missing, though, James Bond. There's no Bond James
it's not
Bond.
in the film.
I'm curious when that does come back. I'm assuming it's in Goldfinger.
It is.
Bond. James Bond.
When film critics talk about this film,
a
lot of people who love this film, again, it doesn't fall into the comic book-ness of the Bond franchise as much as some of the other ones. Now, there are. They get Spectre Island, you have the gadgets, but they're all pretty fairly realistic. Like, nothing seems to be out of, like, extraordinary. Like, we don't have any fucking invisible cars or anything at this point.
Yeah.
Even the villains, it's like the base of the villain is a fucking boat. Like, it's not like some elaborate thing.
Going forward, that's like my major criteria for ranking some of these are going to be like, is it a good film independent of the franchise? And I would say that's the number one reason why From Russia with Love beats Dr. No.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's a good movie, even if it was purely standalone. There was never another Bond film made. If you didn't know who James Bond was, it's a good movie in and of itself.